presentation, you just mentioned that having base stations on the schools,
Yeah.
above the schools, it's much better because the radiation will be low compared to maybe 50 or 100 meters away. In Karnataka, we have a regulation that above the school buildings there should not be any base stations. It should be away, about 100 meters away from the buildings. So is this a wrong regulation what we are having? And you are also talking about the international norms. Could you please throw some light on international norms and what we have here? Because we have about 6, 7 antennas, 8, 10 antennas in one tower. So is this right, and what kind of radiations is emitting out of this?
So
Okay.
if I may add to this question, sir,
Sure.
there doesn't seem to be a government endorsement, in terms of the awareness saying that mobile phone does not cause radiation or any such sort. Even corporates, for that matter, private corporates, when you go to a fuel station, you still can see the message, do not use the mobile phones, or some sort of. So there doesn't seem to be a popular endorsement for these research claims.
They're not research claims, they're just facts from research first. Unfortunately, and I've just been in Malaysia and spoken to the Malaysian government, encouraged the government to start talking about this. If you have a government that's mute on this, then what are you left? You're left to you guys educating the public on EMF. And if you're listening to activists and listening to others, that's the information that the public's getting. It's not getting the WHO messages on this. That's why I'm here, because I worked for 12 years in WHO. Getting these fact sheets as clear as we could make them and as accurate as we could make them from the science. And they've been accurate now for 10 years, those things. No research has indicated any effect below the level of the international standards. The international standards have remained the same for 15 years, which is really reassuring for people who are worried that these standards have stood the test of time and that research is not finding anything. So, coming back to base stations, I understand that there's a sensitivity about putting base stations on schools. People want to protect their children from radio frequency radiation that's occurring 24 hours a day. But the thing is, when you understand the electrical engineering design of an antenna, below the base station is the lowest level that you're going to get. The plume of RF field coming from these antennas is designed to hit the ground 50 to 100 meters from the base station. That's where the maximum occurs. So having the policy that you keep them 30 meters away or 50 meters away from schools means that they're exposed to more. Instead of allowing them to be right on top, where they're going to have the lowest exposure all the time. It's just pure physics. I don't care. The policy in Europe was to try and co-locate antennas so that they would all be on one pole, so you'd only have one antenna mast, instead of having every operator having antennas all over the place like spaghetti. That's one of the reasons for co-locating and having a lot of masts in one area, is just to try and improve the aesthetics. But in a place like Mumbai, which is very dense population, it's not as dense as Hong Kong, and Hong Kong has got around this issue very well. They have them on the highest station, highest buildings, and you hardly see them in Hong Kong. I've just come from Hong Kong, and their environment is just about pristine. I know, I've seen antennas in Mumbai, and they don't look great. But if you're really worried about health effects and not what it looks like, co-locating antennas is still the best way to go, because it just keeps all the antennas in one area, and provided they're properly located, because I sympathize with people that might have antennas on a building and then their apartment is in a higher building and the antenna's pointing into their bedroom. I wouldn't like that either, and I'd jump up and down. And I think there needs to be a more sympathetic approach to the location of these base station antennas because of that. Because you're causing unnecessary concern for people. While it complies with the health standards, it doesn't comply with aesthetics or well-being of people. So it would be nice if in some countries there have been codes of practice for locating base stations. And the problem is when the issue becomes hotly debated, no one wants base stations. I heard that one of the cricketers, Indian cricketers, had base stations taken off his building. In fact, if someone had have told him that that was really the lowest exposure, he may not have done it. He may have